Speaking of advice, though, how was your trip? You said you wanted to talk about some of the things you learned at the conference that you went to.
Yeah, we didn't do no outline. We didn't start off with none of this. So, yeah, I wanted to bring up some things that I guess I don't even know if I told people that we were going. So if you're watching the video, I brought my little cup and like the pen and all the marketing stuff that they give you at the conference. But a couple weeks ago, I went down to what was a business conference for videographers and photographers.
Hmm.
Tim is like, this videography will not be outshined by the WWE. We know everybody loves the WWE,
No,
okay,
not
Tim?
everybody,
All
not
right,
everybody, but continue. My bad.
so it was really dope. It was a 2-day business conference, and it wasn't about like shooting. As you can see, I got like my camera here too. It wasn't just about like how to take pictures and how to work your camera or how to do videos, but mainly like how to make money from it. Like how do you monetize what you're doing? How do you level up your game? How do you find new clients? How do you engage with those clients? Whether it's through things like direct mail marketing. Social media marketing, email marketing, whether it's through posting to your own social media page to grow your followers. But one of the most important things is, well, first of all, like a Master Lloyd and how he always like approaches things. So he always comes back and he's like, "Yeah, what was your biggest takeaway?" Like, he ever done that to you?
Probably, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
Man, anytime I go out or like I tell him I'm doing something like educational, professional, it's like, "Well, what'd you learn from it?" And like Master Lloyd is like really big on like direct marketing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you've gotten into some of his like pyramid schemes and this and that. And
Absolutely.
yeah. So, what are your thoughts on
Never
like direct
again.
marketing, like sending mail to people's houses?
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
Like sending snail mail,
Uh huh.
like Pony Express
Pony
style.
Express style.
I don't read that shit. I don't read that shit. I'm a big proponent of you go to where the eyes are. So wherever they may be, I mean, yeah, everyone has an address unless you're homeless. Which,
I mean, well, for example, take like Mr. Tire. Like Mr. Tire sends me like little postcards for discounts on oil changes. So, do you think that kind of direct mail is effective?
if you need tires, yeah, I
Or an
think,
oil change? Everybody needs an oil change.
yeah, for that kind of stuff, I'd see it. Eventually you're gonna hit. Eventually you're gonna hit your lick, but it's gonna take a lot of long term investment. So I can see that happening. I don't know so much about for a podcast or
You know,
other
me
things.
me neither. Like, but that's what I I got into that argument with Master Lloyd, or because like I was talking to him about Instagram, and then I don't know how, because it's Master Lloyd. Because I was gonna say I don't know how we got to direct mail, but I forget that like he's very set in his ways and his old school marketing, and like I've had this conversation with Muhammad, and like this man lives and dies by the direct mail. So I was trying to tell him like that podcasts have Instagrams, and he didn't know that. He
What?
he didn't know that podcasts have Instagrams.
And he's trying to start a podcast.
I mean, like, he has his online course, so it's like, and then that's what I was like telling him. I was like, "Yo, Master Lloyd, but if you like, how are people supposed to know that you have a podcast?" He's like, "I'm gonna send it out to my mailing list, shorty." And I was like, and then he told me, I was like, "Well, how come I never see your ads?" And this man, he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "You're not my target market." That hurt, Master
Oh
Lloyd. That hurt. I was
Lord.
like, damn, I'm not your target. I was like, I'm your student. And then I remembered I don't pay, but so I guess I'm really not his target. But so, yeah, so I had that conversation with him, which was interesting to hear somebody advocate for like sending stuff right to your house. Because like one of the things that we went over in the conference was using social media marketing, but that's not even like the big takeaway that I wanted to talk to you guys about today or to explain. The biggest thing that I learned was the need for systems and processes, just like in jujitsu, right? So to have business systems, to have business processes, to be able to like almost download your brain and then like replicate that process. And to me, that was really important because like over the last year, I've hired like a couple of people in Brazil, like either to work with Ted Kids Project, which is a nonprofit, or to work with the production of Favela Jiu Jitsu, which is producing t-shirts and clothes on top of editing content. So these are all a little bit different areas. on top of like needing somebody that could speak English to be like an executive assistant. And like, so the process of going through and hiring people, I would say it was just like basically a lot of money and not the results that I wanted in the least fit, or there were good results, but like not the level of efficiency or like the level of help that I wanted for the amount that I paid.
Gotcha.
And then like going back on it, I realized that, the problem when you're an entrepreneur, it's always you. Like you can't put it off on anybody else on your team. If it's your business, it's your problem and you're the one that fucked up. So like one of my issues was like my ability to train my team, especially since I have to do it in Portuguese, which is my third language, and I speak it fluently, but like I don't like to speak to people in English. Like, so like, and let alone have like trainings. And then I remember when we were on the episode with Eric Nick, and I was telling him like how much I hate being in staff trainings and people being like, oh, well, like match your emotions with a color wheel and all of this like stuff like that. This like bonding and this grouping stuff, like how I felt it was like so artificial. And that's kind of like the process that I now have to do. It's like, all right, I really need to go through and like not only just tell these people to post to Instagram, because I've spent like 3 weeks like trying to go over like, all right, how to correctly schedule posts. Like it's really like breaking down the process, like how do you do the hashtags, how do you do this, and like really making sure that people can meet me for weekly meetings. Like this is something I hear from Master Lloyd all the time, where I've known like where he does his master call meetings, where it's marketing meetings with gym owners that he has, and it's every Friday at 3 p.m. like every week, everybody that's in the group. And like that's really important and something that I've definitely been lacking in, is really like being able to bring my team together and to communicate our goals, and then to actually set out the process. Like how do we do this? You actually need to like go into your desktop, you need to create a folder that says Favela Jiu-Jitsu, and then in that folder you need to have marketing. And I've literally had to spend like the last week going down and breaking down these individual processes, like boom, 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 boom. And I realized it's very it's different for everything. I have to do the same thing for the podcast and for Favela Jiu-Jitsu and for everything else. So another really dope thing that I learned from Connie Falls, where she's like systems bay, is like how to do like a brain dump, which I think is like really helpful. It might help you as well. And so like that's the last thing on this topic that I'll leave you, is the brain dump was like grabbing a piece of paper, and then like I like to set timers for things, because then it kind of forces you to write more. This is something I'm kind of adding in. So like just set like a timer of like a minute or two, and then like the first thing is just like things about your life, your personal life, that are stressing you out, or just on your mind. So then like take a minute or two, everything about your personal life. And then the second one was everything about your business that could be stressing you out, whether like you need to buy more equipment for me, or it's like, did I edit these videos, did I do these subtitles, did I pay Fabricio his salary, is Today Kids Project Patreon like going on, like there's some girl in Brazil that is asking me about a competition, who I supposedly sponsor all of her competitions, but all of that, you got to write it down. And then the last one, which to me was the most helpful, was like now assign business titles to each of these things that you have to do. If Fabricio's salary has to get paid, what is that title? That's me acting as the executive director of Today Kids Project, right? If Perchina needs to fight, right? She's part of Today Kids Project, but I sponsor them through Favela Jiu-Jitsu. So that's me being the CEO of Favela Jiu-Jitsu. Like it's important to know like what task you have, and then whose responsibility is that task, because not one person can do everything, right? And I was trying to do everything. Like I was trying to be the executive director and the CEO and an athlete all in one day. So now what I like to do is I'll do that brain jump in the morning, and then I look at the roles and the tasks, and it's like, well, what role am I today? Like, so if I'm not going to be the executive director of Today Kids Project, then I can't focus on this. Like, so that's kind of what I've been doing, is like embracing like what is the role that I have to do, and like what do I need to prioritize? Especially with so many things that I'm doing, and that's really helped me just like start off my days a little bit easier.